guys, welcome to yet another edition of What's Your Emergency Radio. Today, our guest, live via computer, is Instructor Chris Baker. Hello, sir.
Hey, good afternoon.
I have a very important question to lead off with. Did your parents not like you calling you Instructor Chris Baker? I don't understand.
No.
That sounds terrible.
He's a naval aviator.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's like a Top Gun thing, right? Your pilot name is Instructor?
Yeah, Maverick.
There you go. Now, Chris, you and I have known each other for a number of years, mainly working through fire alumni and some other outreach for firefighters getting started in the business, and really your future firefighter programs that I want to talk about on another show. Hashtag we're going to have you back. Surprise. What I want to talk about today is mentorship. One of the things that I saw you mention online, I'm going to attribute it to you unless you want to give it to somebody else. But the most important thing a senior firefighter can do is pass along everything they know to the junior firefighter. Was that you?
Yeah.
And if so, where'd that come from?
Actually, that came from a mutual friend. That came from Chief Juradovic. We were talking probably about 3 years ago, and she shared that with me. And I kind of changed up a little bit of the grammar and a little bit of the syntax and the structure. And that's actually on my challenge coin. And it's really up to all of us, depending on whatever field, fire, EMS, as far as law enforcement, to be able to pass it on and to teach the future.
So why is mentorship so important? Because sometimes we get this look from the senior man like, hey, you got to figure it out on your own, just like I did.
Yeah, so mentorship is very important. With the retirements that we're having in the fire service, we're kind of having a leadership vacuum right now. And so your agency just had a retirement, and you have a new fire chief, and a lot of different fields, either EMS, fire, or law enforcement. We're seeing a lot of attrition right now. A lot of the baby boomers are retiring. And so now there's this void, there's this gap. And we have a lot of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, next generation, public safety servants that are coming up through the ranks. And it's up to us, the more senior folks to get those new people on board, to be able to give them mentorship, insight, and training, and to kind of help assist them in their careers.
Does it ever freak you out when you realize that you just said the senior people that now that's you now? I mean, I look around the PD and I'm like, oh my God, I have so many years on these guys, and I feel like I'm the same age as they are, and I'm not.
Oh, I'm having breathing problems thinking about it. Holy cow.
I know. Do you have the same experience on the fire side that you're the guy now?
And you know what? That hit me the other day. We're at FDIC, and it's kind of funny, Justin. We were talking to FDIC last year at the airport, and I think we were talking about this show. And you're like, hey, I need to get you on the show, and it's taken us about a year with our schedules. And then, it was nice to be able to see you at FDIC again this year. And I think we were talking about it. I don't know if it was on another podcast or show or at the Firehouse Kitchen Table. But literally, we're the senior people now. And it's kind of like, okay, it's like, okay, does that mean that, it's up to us? Is it accountability? Is it kind of now that we've kind of gotten settled in our careers and we've officially kind of arrived, is it up to us now to claim that title of being the senior firefighter, or the senior law enforcement officer, or the senior medic, and to pass that information on? The younger generation that's coming in, they're looking up to us to kind of have the answers and to be able to kind of assist and help them, in whatever capacity that we can.
So you mentioned generational issues, and I'm really glad you brought that up. We've talked about that here on What's Your Emergency Radio. In the disciplines, there is a little bit of difference in the generations. We always talk about those silly beatniks. No, wait. The hippies. Millennials. That's right. That's what we're calling them now. Chris, are you seeing a difference in the acceptance of mentor programs in the fire service varies on a generational level? Is it more accepted by the younger folks coming in, the older folks that are already there, or is it still those guys with 10 years in that think, nah, I don't need your help?
That's a great question. And recently I've studied a lot about generations and the cross generations and how to engage as an instructor, how to engage the next generations that are coming up. The next generation is the homelanders. And it's interesting. I was talking with another friend.
I'm sorry.
hang on.
Time out.
Yeah.
Flag on the play.
Did you just make up a term, or are these
Homelanders?
people that watch Homeland on Showtime?
No, I was going to say that's that show on HBO with the dragons, right?
That's
the
Game of
Homelanders?
Thrones, dummy.
Oh,
Good God.
Throne Games.
No,
I'm sorry.
isn't that the 100? Oh, I don't know. But anyways, the Homelanders, that's the next generation that's coming up. And those are, it's interesting. Those are the ones that don't know anything about 9/11. I mean, literally, they're the students that we have.
Okay, all right.
We have the students right now, 18, 19, 20 years old. And a lot of our freshmen, a lot of our rookies, our probies, a lot of the public safety personnel that are coming up right now, they weren't born yet when 9/11 happened. And so it's interesting to have this generation that aren't connected. They weren't there to experience that. And so just trying to be able to reach those generations, trying to educate them and show them the importance. I was talking to a 18-year-old future firefighter the other day, and I asked him if he ever did a stair climb before. Have you ever done a stair climb? And he's like looking at me like, what's that? Why would I want to do that? And so
I
it
take
brought
the
up a great
escalator, bro.
conversation.
Yeah.
I just take the escalator.
Totally.
These stairs are for
You guys
squares.
not have elevators, man?
Yeah.
What are you, a millennial? Jeez, get with the times.
I know.
Did you notice I came up
so
with a new
check-
accent there?
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
It is International Firefighters Day, so so it brought up a great conversation, and I asked the student, I'm like, hey, do you know how many flights of stairs we climb in a stair climb? And he was like, 30, and I'm like, try 110.
Bless your heart, 30.
And
It's the
so
first
he was
staging
like,
area at 30.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
hang
so
on,
he's
hang on.
like-
I have a neophyte law enforcement question for you then.
Right ahead.
I understand why somebody in Justin's neighborhood would need to climb 110 flights of freaking stairs. Are we talking about flights or just actual individual steps?
110 stories.
oh,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, 110 stories.
You're in the Central Valley, if I'm not inaccurate?
Yep. Yeah, in the
Uh,
Fresno area.
You don't have any buildings that tall? So-
We have a couple.
Dude, you have a couple of hundred. I've been to Fresno, man.
Is that where they have that big thermometer?
That's Bakersfield.
so-
That's Bakersfield.
So tell Chris, do me a favor. Educate my law
Yeah,
enforcement friend
please,
on why
'cause-
we're doing 110 floors.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at 9/11 and you look at the 343 and you also look at the port and several law enforcement officers as well, you look at the 9/11 and the loss of life for our whole profession. And it's the tradition, it's the honor to recognize all those public safety servants from whatever background that they came from. Every year we across the country do stair climbs. At FDIC, we do a stair climb.
Now I understand. I got you.
At Lucas Oil, Sacramento, we do a stair climb. And again, there's no at least on the West Coast, as far as buildings that are that tall. What we normally do is 3 sets of about 30. So we'll usually find a building that has 30 stories, and we'll usually do that 3 times. So by the time you get done, like literally, it gives you time to reflect. It gives you time to think about those firefighters that passed away that day. And then also you wear their name. You wear their name on the back of your turnout jacket. And you have a picture.
How have I not heard of this before? This is amazing. Seriously, I've never heard of this before. That's awesome.
It's something that we do in.
You have failed our friendship, man.
I have, yeah.
You have not spoken to me of this ever.
Again. But
Again,
no,
yeah, that's a good point.
At FDIC, you have folks, MC, that come out and they do live burn training before the actual conference proper kicks off. And these guys will do the stair climb in full gear.
I was going to say, are
SCBA.
they kitted out and all that? Okay.
Now, there's nothing wrong with going up there in a T-shirt and shorts and tennis shoes. The important thing is you get out there and you hit the steps and you're conscious every step you take.
That's
about
awesome.
it.
But I
Chris,
like that.
We can throw 343 and 110 and we can throw all this stuff at the new kids, but unless we instill in them the importance of the job, the importance of the brotherhood, and bringing it back to the mentorship that we're trying to teach them about the culture of being a firefighter. right? Who benefits more from that relationship, the mentor or the mentee, in your opinion?
Well, let's use that as that example. So I'm at the Fresno City College Fire Academy, and we have a lot of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed firefighters.
Bushy-tailed.
And I
love that phrase, by the way, because you're not allowed to say that, and you know it.
I mean, these kids are excited, they're eager, they want to be there, and it's awesome. It's rejuvenating, and trying to share with them why in the fire service, why September 11th is such a day of remembrance, and why we remember the fallen. And we talk about the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Mm-hmm. We talk about the memorial in Emmitsburg. We talk about the memorial in Colorado Springs. And so it's a rite of passage for these newer, I'll say kids, right? Newer firefighters that are coming up. It's a rite of passage for them to learn about our pride, our tradition, the respect of the fallen, all of those things. So by me just explaining it to this newer firefighter, that was mentorship. That literally, as a mentor, sharing with the mentee the value of our profession. And that's the main thing that we try to hit home, is the value that we bring, either in law enforcement, EMS, or fire. The value that not just currently, but historically, over let's say the last 100 years that we've been an organized fire service, career fire service, or EMS or law enforcement. It's that overall value that we bring to our communities. There's
kind of that aha moment sometimes too, right?
Well, yeah, it's that gestalt. So when you see that light bulb go off in our students, they get it. And it might take a stair climb. It might take, there's a great video. It's International Firefighters Day. So there's a great documentary, a 9/11 documentary. It's two French brothers.
Brothers. Narrated by De Niro.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find that link for the show notes.
Oh,
I
bought that on Amazon, and I try and watch it every September 11th.
Yeah,
it's the most amazing documentary I've ever seen.
There you go. Yeah, it
really
and
so is. They actually followed a rookie straight out of the academy, the tower, in WYE, and he was at first he was a white cloud. He literally could not get a fire. I mean, literally like trash can fires. And then he was waiting for like the big fire, and for him, the big fire was 9/11. And the brothers actually followed him around and did a whole documentary. And it was that video that captured my attention back in 2004, 2005. And that video is probably the reason why a lot of people serve. We look at the military. How many people signed up and enlisted in the military after 9/11? How many became firefighters? How many became police officers or decided to work in EMS? That one singular event literally appealed to a lot of people to become public safety servants.
In the last thing you said a couple of minutes ago really brought something to mind. You talked about this conversation you had with this kid, with this incoming eventual firefighter, and you called that mentorship. What kind of a relationship does there need to be? Can mentorship be a 5-minute conversation, or does it have to be an extended kind of relationship where you're setting up something quote unquote official?
A commitment.
A commitment, sure,
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or,
and
are those mutually exclusive?
That's an excellent question. And Chief Jason Coy, we're out at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, and we were reviewing AFG grants for FEMA. And we had an opportunity to discuss this at the Ott House. And literally over dinner, that was mentorship. Literally just having a conversation with somebody over dinner, breaking bread. I consider Chief Coy a mentor, and he considers me a mentee. And we were talking about this term, and organically it happens. We might not call it mentorship, but when you invest in someone and you give them your time, the gift of your time, that's something that all of us can appreciate and understand, that usually we don't have enough time. just in this scheduling this show, it's taken us about a year. So having the gift of someone's time and to have that mutual investment, you have to hold each other accountable. You have to give them tough love, and you have to give them sometimes constructive criticism. And then if you see them kind of falling, out of step, you're almost obligated to give them a call and say, hey, what's going on? And do that buddy check. We call it, like on Wednesdays, we'll do a buddy check. So I'll give you an example. A department in Arizona Fire Medical Authority, they just had a suicide. And so I have a friend that's a captain for this department. And I called him up and I checked in on him to see if he was doing okay and if he needed anything. That's kind of an example of mentorship. And in the fire service, it doesn't matter if you live in California or Arizona or New York. It's those things that we do to take care of each other. It could be a 5-minute conversation at the airport, right? Or it could be a 5-minute phone call, or it could be going out and having dinner with somebody to see if they're doing okay. Those kind of things, organically, they happen. And you have to seize those opportunities to be able to connect with somebody and to see, with the suicides that we're having, literally in the fire, EMS, law enforcement, military, we have to do a better job of taking care of each other. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, what mentorship is all about.
I agree 100% with that, Chris. And I want to touch on something that you mentioned, a gift of your time. There is really nothing more important than time and spending time with someone. A lot of people see it as it's the new touchy-feely fire department, and we're getting in touch with our sensitive side. Well, yeah, because the generation that came before us is killing themselves. They're divorced 3 times. They're in debt. Everything's going wrong. And sometimes just going up to somebody and saying, are you okay? And they say no, and you just sit there for a half an hour. That can be powerful. You don't need to come in with baked goods or a dinner or...
I'm not trying to solve all your problems.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
just trying
not
to
a
let you know that
commitment,
I'm here to
guys.
support you.
You can be a mentor just by sitting with someone in silence.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think so many people forget. But Chris, there are so many resources at your website, instructorchrisbaker.com. Could you just give us a little taste of what's available over there?
Yeah, so hot off the press, I have the best website guy ever. David Collado. David Collado with 2 Davids, a little plug there. He works on the FDNY on the squad, and he was able to put up all the FDIC information. So had the opportunity to teach at the Fire Department Instructors Conference. They just broke a record, over 35,000 attendees. Yep. And I was at a quandary. Okay, I was perplexed if I should put my resources up on my website. And I was like, you know what? I think the right thing to do is to leave the information open source. And so if you didn't have the opportunity to attend FDIC, you could go to my website, instructorchrisbaker.com, go to mentorship, and you could download my PowerPoint and you could download the handout that was available for the students attending my class. And that's probably been the greatest thing, literally, within the last, I would say, since we've come back from FDIC. I posted a couple things on social media trying to create a conversation on how many mentorship programs that are out there. And I have to share, literally internationally, Canada and Europe and several departments across the country, they've reached out to me through my website or through email, and they've shared their mentorship programs with me. And that's amazing. Literally, over the last, I'd probably say, week, 7 to 10 days, I've had a discussion with about 20 people just on the topic of mentorship. And yesterday, I got a question from Battalion Chief John Lightley with Youngstown, Ohio Fire Department. And he had some really tough questions for me. And that was basically, those questions were, how can we improve? How can we improve now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, how we can have company officer mentorship programs, chief officer mentorship programs, how we can maybe find a platform to recruit mentors and mentees to help people that might be looking for a mentor, depending on whatever field that they work in. Maybe that's somebody that needs a mentor. And so literally these were like tough questions. And I was like, okay, Chief, I was like, this is going to take me a little while to get back to you. Well, I was thinking about it today. I was like, I should put this information up on my blog, on my website, and we should just turn this into a discussion that could go beyond this show, beyond my website. And it's something that we can all discuss and talk about, how we can bring positive continuous improvement to each of our professions.
It sounds like that's something that could really be applied to any of the three disciplines.
Absolutely.
Can anybody, a PD, fire, EMS, even military, go to instructorchrisbaker.com and kind of take what you're building and apply it to their specific discipline?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of my content, a lot of my blogs focus on the future firefighter. I have another radio show through Fire Engineering, and that's the future firefighter. And that's kind of my field of expertise is working on the next generation. However, you could take those same morals, values, ethics, and beliefs, those same information, and you could apply it to EMS and you could apply it to law enforcement. What we do and how we interact with each other on scenes, you might be working with EMS one day, you might be working with law enforcement another day. The way that I look at it is we're all, as public servants, we're all providing a service to our communities. So you could take that information and apply it to any of those fields.
So, Chris, we have to kind of jump out and give you a big WYE radio family congratulations. Speaking of working for agencies and bringing in mentorship and such, we understand, and we're allowed to share this on the show, that you've accepted a position with the, let me get it right, North Central Fire Protection District. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I just recently moved to the Fresno area from Northern California and accepted a position with the North Central Fire Protection District. And I'm excited for this opportunity. We're going to start the academy in less than a month. And to have the opportunity to serve the citizens here in the Central Valley. A little bit about our agency. We're a pretty good sized agency. We're about 230 square miles. We cover a population of about 50,000, and currently we have 4 stations with the plans of a 5th station in about 3 years. And it's a great opportunity, and let me share with you why it's a great opportunity. Recently, they recruited over 50 personnel. So to have the opportunity to start with an agency and develop a culture and a mission, vision, and values, SOPs, SOGs, to have ownership to be able to basically start a department. It's an amazing opportunity to be able to do that with like-minded individuals that are coming from various backgrounds. And it's going to be exciting to see come July 1st of this year, of all of us working together cohesively to provide the best quality service that we can for our community.
And you just answered the next question I was going to ask: is how do you balance bringing this program of mentorship and being the senior man into being the junior man? And you just, boom, he answered it right away. I think Eddie Morello would like the way that you answered that. That was probably in your interview, wasn't it? Well, as a matter of fact.
Well, check this out. So all of us are going to be on probation. So literally, I think the officers are starting this month. They're starting May 16th. The engineers and the firefighters are starting in June. But it's going to be an interesting time for the next year because, all of us are not going to have any vacation time or sick time. And we're all going to be on the same task book process. And all of us are going to be learning. So the opportunity for us to get together and actually learn our response agencies and learn our mutual aid and learn, area familiarization, depending on whatever level you're at, an intern, a firefighter, an engineer, a captain, we're all going to be dedicated to learning our department. And so it's going to be an awesome opportunity.
Wonderful. Chris, thank you so much for being on WYE Radio.
We appreciate it.
InstructorChrisBaker.com is the website. Mentorship and the Future Firefighter are the programs. Thank you so much, Chris. Best of luck getting down into Fresno. I never thought I'd say that to somebody, but I have to say it to anybody,
that's true,
my friend, it's going to be you. So thanks again. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, and thank you, the both of you, for everything that you provide for our profession. In
stop it.
No, I'm serious. I'm a big fan, and the crossover show, and having the opportunity to have all three audiences and to be able to communicate not only just with one field, but various fields. That's awesome.
It's kind of you to say. We appreciate your time, especially on a Saturday as we're recording. Take a little time away from the family. So get back to them, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.